James Franklin, it's time. Welcome into the Voice of College Football. Appreciate you stopping by for the best in discussion, debate, and analysis as we start our 2025 college football previews. Please give us a like, subscribe to the channel, get us some views so we can keep doing these preview videos. Let's start at what might be the top of the college football world. Yes, believe it. Believe it. Don't chuckle. Believe it. James Franklin, Drew Aller. Can they perform? Can they coach in the clutch? We shall see. Penn State made it to the Final Four in 2024. The pros and the cons were many on each side, defending Penn State or criticizing James Franklin and the Nittany Lions' climb in 2024. The pros. Penn State made the playoffs for the first time. Penn State also went 11-1 in the regular season. They had not done that under James Franklin. Penn State made it to the Big Ten Championship for the first time since 2016. Penn State won 2 games in the playoffs. All that stacks on the side of Penn State breaking through in 2024 to become an elite program. However, on the downside, of course, Penn State only lost once. They lost to Ohio State during the regular season. Well, they did not play the other power in the conference, which in the past has been Michigan, beating them down in recent years. They didn't play that other game. They played it in the Big Ten Championship game, and they were clearly bested by a better Oregon team. Then, of course, they make the college football playoff, and they get 2 gimmies. Now, you got to think that previous Penn State teams would have defeated Boise State and SMU. So this Penn State team, probably nothing different than what we've seen in the past. But because of the change in playoff structure, Penn State made it within 1 made field goal, 1 Drew Aller mistake in the final 40 seconds of going to a national championship game. Now on to 2025, and let's check out Penn State's ability to make it one more step. They've added these players, 7 through the transfer portal, including Syracuse wide receiver Trevor Pena. Caught 84 balls from Kyle McCord, 941 yards, 9 touchdowns, caught 109 in his career at Syracuse. Also a wide receiver addition in Troy's Devontae Ross, 76 catches, over 1,000 yards, and 11 touchdowns. Ross has caught 129 balls during his career. USC wide receiver Kyron Hudson, only 38 catches, but many of those the spectacular variety if you watched USC play last year. And also, Penn State picks up a couple of unproductive but very talented players by way of the SEC and Texas A&M defensive lineman Anai White, and also Alabama safety King Mack. But it's those 3 wide receivers that need to step up for Penn State and be that missing key piece in what should be an explosive Penn State offense if they can get that number 1 wide receiver. Penn State brought in a decent recruiting class, 3 top 100 players, including the number 1 player in the state of New Jersey, a top 20 player overall in Malachi Goodman, although he probably won't factor in 2025 in the interior line as Penn State is stacked up front. Tight ends Andrew Olish and Jeff Exenor, also top 100 players, and LeVar Arrington's little brother will don the blue and the white. Say what you will about Penn State's lack of productivity in big games, but when it comes to productivity in the NFL draft, it has been stout. But this Penn State edition only loses 5 to the pros, but some of the losses are enormous. Abdul Carter, possibly the best player in college football, just an explosive tear, goes to the New York Giants at pick number 3. Tyler Warren caught 104 passes, and of course the offense ran through him in 2024. He was a top 14 pick in the NFL draft. Also, you had Kevin Winston, Jalen Reed, and Kobe King, 3 huge impact players on defense, go to the NFL draft. Penn State loses 16 through the transfer portal. No huge losses here, but we've got to mention some contributors who move on to other teams, including cornerback Cam Miller to Rutgers, and also 2 wide receivers in Trey Wallace, who caught 46 passes, moving on to Ole Miss, and Amari Evans, 21 catches, 5 touchdowns, who stays in the Big Ten at Washington. And of course, much ballyhooed backup quarterback Bo Pribula, who will now be the starting quarterback at Mizzou. Therefore, it's all Drew Aller, and it's not going to be a backup quarterback getting those running plays, getting those special packages for him down in the red zone. Keys to Penn State making that climb all the way to the national championship game in 2025. It starts with, of course, their leader, James Franklin. Be that pillar, be that rock, be that leader, be that guy that everybody looks to in the clutch to make the right decision, to be poised, and to lead this football team and prepare them for the big game in the big moment. James Franklin has not been a clown on the sideline like the likes of Les Miles, but he has been questionable in the clutch. And of course, he made the decision to let Drew Aller try to throw it downfield with 40 seconds left at their own 15-yard line instead of looking for one play to possibly explode and then get the field position to make the run at the game-winning field goal. And of course, it burned James Franklin. Don't blame him, blame Drew Aller. Franklin put stock in his quarterback. He put belief and trust in his quarterback, and that's what he's paid to do when his quarterback is a veteran. Drew Aller, our key number 2. You be a leader. You be the guy that steps up in the clutch. What I saw out of Drew Aller last year was exceptional play for most of the season. He was no longer the talented guy who was afraid to throw the ball downfield. He was no longer the guy that was a deer in headlights against Ohio State and Michigan. Those types of teams, those types of games. He delivered time and time again. He looked like a confident leader that had stood up to his teammates, stood up to the coaches in a respectful way on the sideline, and more than that, delivered some amazing throws, NFL-type throws, consistently downfield. Check out the Big Ten Championship appearance against Oregon. But in the clutch, it started with SMU. Drew Aller, insignificant in that game. The defense took control of that game. He was not needed, and they blew out the Mustangs. Then on to Boise State. Drew Aller played a marginal game. He was not awful. He was not spectacular by any stretch. He needs to be better in playoff games, but he was surrounded by a team that was overmatching Boise State, and so he did not need to be clutch in that game. But then came Notre Dame, and Drew Aller made the big mistake in the final 40 seconds, but before that, he played an uninspiring game. He was not sharp in that game against Notre Dame. He's got to be better when it counts. We saw it most of 2024, but not at the end. Drew Aller needs to be better. We've got a potential running game that could be devastating. It's going to be really, really good, but it's got the potential to be just dominant. The best running back combination in college football with Katron Allen and Nick Singleton. They both rushed for a total of 2,200 yards and 27 total touchdowns last year. And then we've got 9 of the top 10 offensive linemen are back on the 2 deep for this Penn State team. This is where I take the opportunity to embarrass the Penn State football program and the athletic director for their embarrassingly easy non-conference schedule. They basically play 3 high school teams. They should be embarrassed. You're Penn State. Play somebody like you did last year, the last 2 years, and taking on West Virginia, recent years against Alabama. Yes, you need to schedule someone. I understand you don't need to schedule someone because of the playoff format being what it is. You play in the Big Ten. If you go 10-2, you're going to the playoffs. But at some point here in college football, we've got to force these schools to play someone, take the scheduling out of the hands of the teams and the programs, and schedule the games for the teams. This is what it turns out to be for Penn State. This is the result of the format that we have. Nevada, FIU, Villanova. That's an embarrassment. That's a joke. All right, let's get to the Big Ten schedule. And a good move here on Penn State's part in getting the bye week. Before taking on Oregon, they welcomed the Ducks to Happy Valley. Penn State defeated UCLA 27-11 this past season. They go out to the Rose Bowl this time. They've got Northwestern. That should be a win, of course. Then a difficult stretch of games. Going to Kinnick Stadium. That has been an interesting series between Penn State and Iowa, especially the games at Kinnick. Penn State has had a number of nightmares there, but also have pulled out a game, of course, Trace McSorley in the final 1 second a few years ago. The bye week before Ohio State, so another perfectly placed bye week for Penn State before they go to Columbus, where they never win. They haven't won a game in Columbus since 2011. Then they've got Indiana, interesting matchup against Curt Cignetti and company. Michigan State, Nebraska, Rutgers to finish off the season. Penn State, of course, is looking for that magic 10-2 record. They should be able to get it with no issue, you would think. Of course, the Oregon challenge at Ohio State is most likely a loss. Then they've got to be able to navigate a few toughies in Iowa. That's scary on the road. And of course, the date against Nebraska could be a challenge as well. But they get off to the 3-win start based on playing the 3 high school teams out of conference. That's our look at Penn State football. Please leave your comments and questions down in the comments section down below. We'll be back with more Big Ten previews as we run through college football based on your responses and your feedback right here at the Voice of College Football.